Well, hey there. Welcome to Randomedia 4, the Quattro, where we have a highway to the Threemus Zone race, an inaugural race in the hook route between ndoto and LUF. My name is Sheep Launcher. I'm here with Leggy Star Scream, and Leggy, looks like we've got ourselves a really exciting match here tonight.
Yeah, so we're starting off with one of the twins. I'll be honest, I can't tell them apart until we get into the game. We're unlocking the Pastor, completing Cave Bahamut, and/or curing the fever with the Sand Ruby, in addition to our standard Forge the Excalibur objective.
So a lot of key item hunts here. Sand Ruby, they're on the hunt for. Pats, they're on the hunt for. Cave Bahamut, all you need to get there is the Darkness Crystal. So this could, if the key items are cooperating, this could be a really jetty seed here.
Yeah, because the only objective you really need that you need to go to the moon for is Cave Bahamut. If you find the other three, you can just completely ignore the entire moon. But if you do get that early Darkness Crystal, then of course Cave Bahamut doesn't require anything else. If the boss there is free, that could be a really nice objective in case one of the other key items is not as forthcoming as we'd like.
And so you can see the objectives at the bottom. They're not the real objectives. They should be. Since we are on Randomedia 4, the Quattro, the objectives are dodge, dive, dip, duck, and dodge, the 5 Ds. So hopefully the racers don't get confused by those very clever objectives put up by our restreamer Asuka 424. Also helping us out is our tracker Bacon Pie. So
Yeah,
give them a shout out before we start racing.
and so we're about to get started here.
Yeah, and ndoto and LUF are in the hook route. They each went 1 and 2 in group stages. They've both got to be thinking that 1 or 2 decisions may have gotten them to the magma route. This first race is really, really important. Like I don't think you can overstate just how important it is to get off to a quick start in the hook route.
Yeah, because first of all, no matter what else happens, if you don't win at least 2 of these 3 races, your tournament dreams are over. You are donezo, you're going home. You get to hang out with the rest of the people and cheer people on, but if you're hoping to make it to the table stage, you need to go at least 2 and 1.
Right, and going 3 and 0 is even more important because going 3 and 0 gets you into one winner-take-all race with all the other 3 and 0 folks. And in this set, there are only going to be 6 or 7 of those, so your chances are 1 and 6 or 1 and 7. If you don't win that race, or if you go 2 and 1, there's a winner-take-all race at the end of that, which has 1 spot for 24 contestants or so. So this is super important, and it looks like we're off. And we have a start and a pass from Leviathan in the Barren Castle.
Well, that's nice for our runners.
Yeah, opening
you know,
the pass was one of their objectives. And that is a Palom that we started with, green robe, orange cape. So we got Quake relatively soon. We got an exit mage. So this is going to be a really fast start.
Yeah, with the Palom, depending on what it's going to take to get to the underground, you're going to really want to focus on getting that kid to Virus, if not Quake. And Tela does allow for some more interesting looting paths. I know that when I have a Tela start, I like to loot the Watery Pass, as it looks like LUF is doing right now.
Mm-hmm. And ndoto is on his way to Baron. The 60% flag set has kind of made looting Baron hit or miss for me. There are just so many treasure chests that are out of the way that you don't know whether they're empty until you come upon them. So, but ndoto is undaunted and going right in there.
Yeah, it does make looting a bit more of a scattershot, and you'll see runners looting a lot more than they have in previous tournaments. But with the free characters on, LUF does pick up a Rosa here right away in the Watery Pass. Rosa, of course, being the best white mage. Forum fans don't at me.
And I believe that was a water hag, a single blue robe, hanging out in the Baron Inn, guarding a Cecil, if I saw it correctly.
Yeah, that's kind of unfortunate because Water Hag is one of the most notoriously cheesable bosses. And that first spot of the Baron Inn is not exactly that scary of a spot.
Not at all, and the first spot in the Baron Inn has 400 hit points for every enemy except basically Water Hag. So even though you might have the damage to kill Water Hag with one hit, you still have to do 3 for story-based purposes. It's kind of annoying.
Indeed.
LUF is up in Damsian, going to check out the character there, unlock the hovercraft. And the character is a Kane.
Ooh, that's a nice pickup.
And I saw a Poison Axe somewhere. I didn't see who got it, but there's something around for it.
Yeah, one of the things we do see a couple of runners do that makes for some interesting routing is with Tella and the ability to cast Exit. We'll see how deep our various runners decide to loot in different areas. We see ndoto doing the entirety of the Watery Pass, for instance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, whereas LUF just stopped at the first waterfall and exited out of there. The Mysidia characters are Rydia and another Tetla. Unless you're doing tri-Tella stats, which I've seen recently, don't know that you want to hang on to the second Tella, but keeps the second Tella over the Rydia.
Interesting. Once you get Tella up Ordeals, he does get his full complement of spells and can do a fair bit. However, I personally would have kept the Rydia. She scales into a pretty decent endgame Black Mage, and even with the Palom in the party, if you get down to the underground before you do Ordeals, and before you have enough levels on your Palom to get Warp, Rydia can enable you to utilize the Warp glitch, which we have turned on in this flag set.
Yeah, and I like hanging on to Rydia, at least until I check the Hobbs summon. If you get a Sylph there, that pretty much takes care of any boss on the overworld.
Yeah, and if you get a Leviathan or a Bahamut, that can also help carry you into the mid to late game as well.
Certainly, and those are more available in shops than in most flag sets.
Speaking of the mountain, we have LUF going up, gonna find a Karate Man seeking enlightenment on top of Mount Ordeals, while ndoto is looting out the Antlion's Cave.
And LUF does the reverse vanilla by leaving Tella on Mount Ordeals. So gonna continue up the mountain with no levels to speak of as yet. A rude boss here could put an end to this real fast, but we'll see.
Yeah, ndoto does pull some really nice stuff, including some samurai armor, a Gaia drum, as well as a cursed ring. Cursed ring, of course, being an item that lowers all of your characters' statistics by 15, which is not always exciting, except when you start getting into the witchcraft of this game, also known as agility.
Right. Now, is the curse ring the most Lion King piece of equipment that ndoto could have picked up here? If you haven't noticed, ndoto's characters are named after Lion King characters. I just feel like a hyena would have a curse ring that they scavenged from somewhere.
I mean, I feel like if we're going for like Lion King parallels, doing the whole dwarf castle montage where Rydia comes back all grown up is pretty much her leaving the ways of Hakuna Matata.
Yes, Leviathan and Asher were teaching her how to eat bugs in the land of summon monsters. So Luke gets past Dark Knight Cecil at the front of the bridge and gets Leg at the back.
Hi everyone, I'm here.
Hi, Leggy.
Of course, Glare hits like a truck no matter where that leg is located.
Yeah.
One-shotting Tella for nearly 3,000 damage. Luckily, the Palam has Ice 2 already, so if LUF is able to time the hits right, that Ice 2 can do a fair bit of work on this leg.
Yes, and that timing is going to be what's really important. Looks good so far, and down at the bottom of Antlion Cave, ndoto has run into King Queen Adeline.
Another free boss in another weak spot.
It's you'd rather see them somewhere else, but if you're hurting for levels, this can at least get your Palam off the ground and get level 2 spells.
Indeed. We'll see what Antlion Cave has for us in terms of the item spot here.
And that's a tower key. So no keyless tower play this time. That's been the meta recently. And Venerable somewhere is crying.
Yeah. Unfortunately, that is useful, just not until our runners find their way underground. ndoto is probably not unhappy to have it, but it's definitely not what you want right in this moment, because we still don't know what our underground access is.
LUF, meanwhile, takes a wipe to Rubik. That leg was just too much. As somebody who's been mesmerized by the sight of leg, I can understand.
Yeah, this spot is pretty tricky.
Yeah.
And with Rosa going down right away, it might prove to be a little rough. The Ordeals boss fights are actually kind of tricky overall. Definitely stronger than either the Antlion or the Football Gauntlet spots. But when you have the Tella, being able to get all of those spells online super early can be really valuable in helping you take out some of these early game bosses. Though, of course, LUF doesn't know that Antlion is literally free.
That was a well-timed Ice 2, and Rubicon goes down. So Rubicon will be going to...
Yeah, that Palam definitely needed the legs to chill out.
Yes. And so now that the back attack spot is done, the third spot should be okay, and LUF is not even going to save, which is more daring than I would be at this spot.
You do get a free full heal going into this fight, and this spot does not have very much HP compared to the previous two.
It has 1,000, to be precise, yeah.
Yeah. Depending on who's here, it can be a little nasty. Ooh.
A Leviathan, and LUF does not have a Rydia. And then ndoto has held on to his Rydia, so that could be something.
Yeah. Unfortunately, he has to get through all this luggage.
Stop reading my Tinder profile.
Well, I mean, you have to unburden your soul of all of its baggage in order to become a paladin. Obviously,
I think that's a bit on the nose. Yeah.
Dr. Luge in this spot is not actually that scary. The 1,000 HP is going to be split across all the different forms and characters that show up here, and with that lightning weakness exploited by Palom, yeah, Dr. Dialogue is not feeling super chatty today.
Nope, and he goes down in all of his various forms, and now LUF has a fully online Tele. As much online as Tele can be. Tele probably still has an AOL email address. And ndoto and LUF are high-fiving, going up and down the mountain. That's an interesting play by both of them to completely fade Fabul at this point. Although they probably won't fade it for long because they don't really have many other places to go. There's Baron Inn, there's Fabul, and then there's a Threemus hunt.
Yeah, and fading Fabul is kind of a meme. On the one hand, if you can avoid doing Fabul before you go underground, you can minimize the number of times you come in because you can talk to Sheila and do the Fabul defense in the same trip to the castle. On the other hand, because it is a Sphere 0 check, it is available to you from the get-go. It can be your underground access.
Very much so. LUF finds a turtle at the top of Mount Hops guarding another Tela, so I think they're just going to stand there and stare at each other for a while. Although LUF now has this information, maybe that Tela would be useful down the line as an agility anchor, although the Tela he has working for him with a cursed ring will do just fine.
Yeah, and I know that when I see the turtle up there guarding a Tela, I'm just mostly breathing a sigh of relief that I don't have to deal with Kainazo in one of the rude spots that turtle can be at.
Very much so. Kainazo at, for example, Rubicon spot or King Queen Evelyn can be really, really nasty, and our runners will be happy that we don't have to deal with him at a worse spot.
Indeed. Looks like ndoto is giving us our second dose of leg, throwing out the Gaia drums, while LUF is getting to take a little bit of a break.
And so ndoto doesn't want to play the ice timing game, instead going for the lit 2 against the closed cloak, which does a little bit of damage, but certainly not as much as Ice Cube does against an open cloak. LUF picks up his tower key and will move on to the next adventure. And meanwhile, Rubicon goes down, so ndoto goes through Rubicon on the first try, while LUF wiped to Rubicon once, and we'll be happy to see this Leviathan, I'm sure.
Indeed. And ndoto definitely had a little bit of an easier time of it because of the order that he went through things. Having the extra levels from doing Antlion is definitely going to make things a little bit smoother. But now, if you're one of these runners, you've got a coin flip. Do you go to Fabul, or do you go back to the Baron Inn to check for the next bit of progression?
Well, LUF is going to check the waterfall, see if there's a cheeky D-mist here. Instead, finds a karate man taking a bath.
Which, definitely seems on brand.
I mean, he's probably dusty from spending all that time on top of the mountain.
Yeah, and also, there is the whole, trope of the martial arts master training under the waterfall.
True. So LUF going toward the Baron Inn, I believe this is Luke's first trip to Baron, so he sees the Cecil and now has a decision to make.
Indeed, but does have to get through these 2 bosses first. A water hag in the easier spot, and a mystery guest hiding behind it.
I think my favorite in the second spot is the alt gauntlet, just because I like to imagine 16 creatures or so hiding in the wall.
And that would be honestly kind of the most hilarious thing.
Yes.
Because you see the blue robe there, and you see it's only one blue robe, and you breathe that sigh of relief, and then the alt gauntlet shows up.
Instead, it's a lunar sparkle, and it's plague. And the question here is, does Luke have the DPS to deal with it? Oh, he gets the Star Veil off. Taking advantage of the fact that this is one of the slowest boss spots in the game. Gets the Star Veil off, and Luke is home free.
Indeed. With that Star Veil up, Plague will just keep casting count, and as long as you're bouncing it back off, it will reset the timer on all the characters who have it. Which means you can just sit back and do damage to your heart's content.
And it looks like Luke is very contented to do so, and Plague is getting frustrated that not all your characters have numbers on them. So Plague will just keep resetting everybody's.
Indeed. Though ndoto looks to be going to Fabul. So we'll get our check over there as well.
A little bit of divergence. This is fun. Plague is down. Luke, a very efficient, well done Baron in, and gets the hook. That might be our way underground.
Well, it's either going to be that or... Well, it is a way underground. We'll see whether or not ndoto also finds a way underground.
And Luke, Cecil behind.
Yeah. So, normally, Cecil is... Oh, that's a wyvern.
Hello.
So I heard you like Mega Nukes.
So as you were saying, normally Cecil, especially as a paladin, one of the most powerful characters in the game, no reason to even take him, except in this flag set. If you have Cecil in your party, he's who your agility is based on. So what they call an agility anchor, and that's an adamant. That is half of an Excalibur that is in Fabul. So, but Luke decides he'd rather play with more advanced agility manipulation strats and leaves behind the Cecil. I haven't seen any real good Cecil weapons that would make him useful immediately, but Cecil's only a crystal sword away from destroying the seed at any given point.
Indeed, and with that adamant rock, there's 2 more places that a D-Mist could be lurking. But if D-Mist is not here in the Mist Cave, and it's Valvalis,
another boss that they will be happy to just leave there.
And if D-Mist is not at the Magus Sister spot in the Tower of Zot, which you can get to without the Earth Crystal, that hook is our way underground.
Would you dive that spot to avoid the hook at this point, Leggy?
No, I have a Palom. I'm going to go grind Palom up on Cave Eblin and Castle Eblin encounters and go. If I can get that Palom to Virus before the first spot, or even better, Quake, I'm golden. Though, yeah. I do agree with doing Fabul first.
I do as well. But yeah, checking the Mist Cave and the waterfall spots are one thing. Going all the way up the tower to check the Magus Sister spot is a bridge too far for me, I agree.
Yeah. Does like ndoto is coming into the castle. Looks like going to loot the other two spots of the Troya Armory. Not the super hype rate that treasury valuable spots,
Right.
but the other few spots, and doesn't find anything super valuable. Looks like that's an upgrade for Iridia.
Yeah, that dancing
But-
deck would be okay for a little bit, but it's certainly nothing to hang your hat on.
And does upgrade from the Archer Bow to a Great Bow, which, again, or not, unclear.
So, LUF gets the wall up on Kane, but the Mega Nuke does not kill the Wyvern, which is a hazard at this spot.
Indeed. ndoto does find the Sylph Summon for sale. Say that 3 times fast. In the town of Troya, so looks like he's going to sell some stuff off in order to pick that up.
And has the Sylph in his inventory. Now, did he already learn Leviathan, or did he sell that off?
I wasn't paying super close attention. We'll just have to see what happens the next time he goes into his summon menu.
Yeah. LUF is through the Wyvern at Pool, gets that Adamant, and unless wants to make a super cheeky play, is probably going to head over to Cave Evelyn at least to see what's in the shop and see what looting can be done on the way down.
Indeed. I know that some runners are also a fan of doing Castle Evelyn because you do have the 3 extra boxes there, plus some fairly valuable loot in terms of the overall tiering.
I haven't seen any hourglasses, certainly not in shops, but I haven't really even seen them lootable. If you're not carrying them, are you still jazzed about going into the castle?
It depends where I'm at.
Yeah.
We do have the online tele, which does mean that, for instance, there's the one fight with the Stale Man and the 4 skeletons. I forget what their actual enemy name is. Those go down nicely to a Fire 3, or even a Fire 2 most days.
Very true. And, if ndoto were to go over there, his party would certainly have experience going into the skeleton graveyard.
The Mad Ogres might prove a bit challenging, and the Lamia cat fight is always a coin toss, in my experience at least.
Yes.
But even if you can't take any of the trap chests, you can still pull some very valuable stuff in there which might help make the hook rat fights easier.
Yeah, it's compact enough that save scumming is certainly a viable option.
Indeed.
If you come upon a fight that you don't like, you just reset, and you haven't lost that much time.
Yeah, it really depends on how you as a runner feel about your equipment, how you feel about, going in and potentially dealing with those fights, and how much experience and looting you want to do in Cave Evelyn itself.
Well, we got the
And it looks
answer
like,
on
yeah.
the Ndoto side. He's got the Leviathan. Leviathan wipes out Plague. So with a couple of seconds to spare, ndoto's got his hook, and now both these runners will continue, I guess, shopping and looting on the overworld, and then we'll take the plunge.
Yeah, looks like we have Star Veils and Mute Bells for sale over here in Eggert.
Very useful. Mute Bells, especially useful if you run into a tough pair, say Baron Guards at King Queen Evelyn. Mute Bells can really help, or with a Warlock grind later on.
Yeah. Just a really nice item to have in your back pocket in case you run into some particular situations. And of course, Star Veils, infinitely usable. never hate to see them. Looks like LUF is definitely in camp. I'm just going straight into football. Evelyn.
Certainly, and meanwhile, ndoto is purchases an Ashura summon for Rydia, so he is really banking on this kid, and given the damage that Leviathan is putting out, I can't blame him at all.
Yeah, especially while you're waiting for your Palom to start getting up to Virus and Quake. If you can get some of those early summons in play, Rydia can put up some massive amounts of damage. Looks like LUF is able to find Hourglass 2 for sale down here in Cave Evelyn.
That's big. Hourglass 2 stops all enemies on the screen, of course. For most situations, it goes on longer than you need. Hourglass 3 are there, but in all but a couple situations, they're just a luxury. Hourglass 2s will get the job done just fine.
Yeah. I'm gonna check the other shops. Find Sorcerer Robe, Strength Ring, Crystal Armor.
A Rune Axe for Kane, maybe? But...
Ooh. Yeah, that Rune Axe could prove rather nice. Especially if we run into like a nasty Ashura here on the hook route. But elects to buy the Sorcerer Robe instead to augment one of his mage's magical abilities.
No stale men in the infirmary today. Either.
Indeed.
I remember the first time I got stale men in the infirmary. I did not know it was possible, and it freaked me
out. Yeah, the other one that gets me is when I find, like, if I'm feeling cheeky and I open any of the boxes in the Sylph's house, I feel like it's always one of the boxes in the from the Sylph Cave.
Yes. Yes, those have just scared me too much. I never
right.
For any reason.
Looks like ndoto is choosing to forego shopping until he knows where that Staleman chest is. We'll see whether or not he comes back and does his shopping, or if he just continues looting forward. Ooh, LUF takes a reset out of the Staleman fight.
Yeah, the Stalemen they're sneaky hard, and it sneaks up on you every time, and I'm not sure how, but they hit hard, they don't give that much experience, and they're amazingly fast for being made of stone.
Right? And also just their magic resistance bites me every single time.
Very much so. Well, we'd like to welcome in RPG Limit, everybody that was watching RPG Limit Break. Welcome to Randomedia for the Quattro. We have a hook route between ndoto and LUF. Both runners have cleared out the overworld and are going down to the hook route.
Looks like we've pulled a coffin down here in Cave Evelyn. A second coffin now.
Those are nice, and are Stalemen susceptible to coffins? I can never remember.
I honestly don't remember. However, I'm more interested in thinking about, like, if we find soldiers at the King Queen Evelyn spot, right. Because now we know that Antlion is hanging out at Rubicante's location.
That's pretty rude. Antlion just does one thing, and that's hit. And at Rubicante's location, it can hit hard.
Yeah, though with a few blink casters, it's doable, and if you don't use any physical attacks, you don't have to worry about the counter. Ooh, ndoto pulls an Ogre Axe, so that's going to be useful if he decides to take the Mad Ogre chest coming up.
He's thinking about it. Luf has one stale man down. John getting off 1,300 a swing, which isn't too bad. But this stale man hits like a truck.
Right? Oof. The Ice 2 comes out. There it goes. At least Palom and Rosa are still up. Those are definitely the characters you want to get that experience on.
Certainly. And Dodo exits out of the cave. Evelyn looks like is gonna try and loot some of those chests and fight some of those enemies in Castle Evelyn.
I don't actually hate doing the Cave Evelyn looting first, especially because he found hourglasses. That will definitely help with the Castle Evelyn fights. And if he had found a character that he wanted to keep, checking the Cave Evelyn character spot before doing Castle Evelyn means that if there was someone here he wanted experience on, he would have been able to set that up properly.
Right, you are. Gets the Mad Ogre chest first, and did he actually pick up any hourglasses? Did ndoto even stop by and pick up any hourglasses?
He did on his second trip in.
Okay.
But I think he's thinking about it and debating whether or not he wants to take it slow, probably hoping to get a life glitch or two off.
That. Yeah, with that Ogre Axe on Kane, he has a very reliable source of damage if he can keep that Kane alive.
Which is always a little scary. And since we do have a bow and arrow floating around, we do have the ability to back row that Kane. If we wanted to. Goes for casting Stop on the back Mad Ogre.
And that should do just fine.
Yeah, since Stop is literally the same spell that the Hourglasses cast, the fact that Mad Ogres are vulnerable to it means that you can just hard cast it instead.
Mm-hmm.
Picks up 3 levels and Virus.
That's very key. Meanwhile, Luf goes into the tower, finds the 4 Mad Ogre chest. Luf did also find that Ogre Axe, so he's gonna try and get that Kane online and alive. But the ogres know where the threat is coming from and target Kane with impunity.
Indeed. The power of that board face AI.
I mean, I like to think that they're smarter than we give them credit for, and just know.
Well, they are mage-type enemies, so they do have a certain amount of magical knowledge.
Yeah.
And ndoto showing off the power of the Leviathan summon, taking out the Lamia Black Cat spot in one fell swoop and pulls an Avenger.
And Rosa learned Berserk, so so ndoto's in really good shape.
Yeah. Honestly, at that point, I would definitely consider just being like, okay, now I'm ready.
Mm-hmm.
But it looks like ndoto definitely wants to keep going.
The urge to full clear is real. That's one of the kind of adjustments I've had to make going from vanilla into the randomizer is you don't always need to pick up everything, but I really want to.
Right, especially in a randomizer when stuff can be so incredible and way better than anything you'd ever find in those spots in vanilla.
Yes.
And I don't blame ndoto's play here, especially because Castle Eblin does have a fairly high level of gear in general.
And how does T Wildish kind of adjust the gear that's available in the castle?
So I was just about to pull up some of those numbers. So in general, in the flag we call T Pro, or Pro Treasure Randomization, all of the different areas in the game have a certain amount of weighting of items that can appear. Items are bucketed into 7 tiers, so you can have everything from potions down in tier 1 to crystal swords in tier 7. It runs the full gamut. Castle Eblin in general has a fairly high percentage of having high tier items. And T Wildish, owing its homage to T Wild, which is just anything could be anywhere. T Wildish says, oh, what if we took those T Pro weights and mostly shifted them over a little bit to be much higher than you'd think. So on average, if you look at the chart, it's going to basically be offset by a tier. So I need to pull up the numbers real fast, and I'll let you talk about what's going on.
While you're pulling up those numbers, ndoto's Palom now has Quake, and meanwhile LUF has his Palom up to Quake, or up to Virus, I beg your pardon, and his Rosa up to Berserk. So these parties are rounding into shape, and ndoto decides to make a beeline right back into the cave. He's ready. He's going down. He's gonna give that antlion what's for, and whoever is in the King Queen Eblin's spine. Quack.
So,
Quack. 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 Go ahead, Leggy. Lay down the knowledge.
So, for instance, Castle Eblin has a 15% chance of having a tier 5 item in T Pro. In T Wildish, that 15% is mostly shifted over into tier 6 using a formula. It's all in the wiki. I would have to compute it offhand. There's a spreadsheet, but I don't have it for various reasons. Additionally, the trapped chests have their own distinct weightings, which are much, much higher than the boxes around them. In T Pro, the trapped chests in Castle Eblin have a 40% chance of tier 7 items, and in T Wildish, that number only goes up.
And we saw ndoto take full advantage of that with the Avenger in the one trap chest, and the Masamune in the second trap chest. So if an edge ever shows up, that edge will not be fully equipped on ndoto's side.
Yeah, that Masa is a very nice pull, but as we know, the randomizer is sentient and wants to oppose you directly. We'll see whether or not we actually do find that edge.
And if I saw ndoto's inventory correctly, he might have already sold it. So so he's made his bet. Question in chat: how many tiers of items are there? And Leggy, I believe there are 7 of them, right?
Correct.
Yep, the ones on tier 1 are the junk, and tier 7 is your ultimate weapons and armors and things like that.
Yeah, shoutouts to Free Enterprise having a really good wiki that has, like, all of the documentation you'd ever want.
And this wiki you can get there by, there's a link in the Discord, if I'm not mistaken.
And there's a link in chat, because I don't think it got censored, which is nice.
Good reminder to join the Discord if you're enjoying what you're seeing. There's always races going on. We're in the middle of a tournament, obviously, but the Discord itself is a lot of fun. If you're just starting racing or if you've been doing it for a while, all the resources you could ever want are there. So join the Discord, have fun with us.
And while we were off talking about boxes and numbers and whatnot, it looks like LUF got all the way through the Dark Elf at the King Queen Upland spot.
It's now looking for a random encounter. Trying to get up to Quake maybe before dealing with that antlion.
That wouldn't surprise me. Quake is just such a good spell. Especially when you're up against a boss where you want to deal with it mostly using magic.
Right, the antlion, of course, counters with a move, helpfully titled Counter. It counters anything using the fight command. Now, LUF does have Yang who can do the power command instead of the fight command, and does have Kane who can jump, and does have Rosa who can aim. But yeah, you don't want to use fight against antlion because those counters hurt. But LUF gets through this random encounter, 2 Mad Ogres, 2 Lamias, I believe, and gets that Quake. Looks like LUF will feel like he's well enough equipped, turns encounters back off, and is going to go challenge the antlion. Meanwhile, ndoto is going after these Mad Ogres with the Life Glitch, of course, and is going to pick up another boatload of experience from this fight. LUF taking things pretty cautiously, going to set up blinks on Rosa, because as you can see, antlion doing 600 damage to a well-equipped Kane, not messing around with the physical damage. Get those blinks up and get defensive. There are 2 blink casters in this party, which will help a lot.
And looks like the antlion fight is off to a good start for LUF.
Yeah, LUF really using those blink casters, not messing around, just setting up blinks on everybody who needs them. So LUF is getting into a defensive posture first, which is what you need to do when dealing with the antlion.
Indeed. This spot is no joke, no matter who is here, outside of, like, maybe Water Hag. And respecting the physical attack that antlion brings is very important.
And we were saying at the top of the broadcast, like both these runners won a race in the group stage, lost 2 others, and ended up here in the hook route. I've been watching some video. These runners are no slouches. The hook route is full of really confident, really good runners, and ndoto and LUF are 2 of them.
Indeed. And, like, I'm definitely of the belief that there are no bad runners in this tournament, only runners who fell prey to unfortunate circumstances in the first stage of this tournament. We see just incredible runners, but in both the hook and the magma routes of the tournament, as well as, of course, everyone who's moved straight onto the table.
ndoto takes care of the Dark Elf and stares down that antlion. and goes right after Antlion. This is
So ndoto does have the extra levels from doing Castle Upland, as well as, for instance, that Leviathan summon. So I can't fault the confidence in general, but we'll see how this goes. Luckily, it seems like the extra levels and, of course, Leviathan helped him get through the Dark Elf relatively quickly. So, if this pays off, our runners will be neck and neck coming into the underground.
virtually tied, yeah. As LUF is through and has underground access at 47.5 minutes. A very good time for a hook route with Rude Antlion at the end.
Indeed. And of course, taking the little bit of extra time to get set up to go through the hook route does mean that going through some of the bosses underground is going to be easier. Like, I imagine our runners will feel confident to go into the top of tower right away, despite that spot being fairly tough.
Certainly has a ton of hit points, but with both parties having good DPS at this point, should be straightforward to go through anyway.
LUF greeds a Zeus gauntlet out of the second chest on the way to the Falcon.
You gotta love the Zeus gauntlet just lying around.
Yeah, the Zeus gauntlet being by far the best thing you can wear on your hands for a physical fighter. Giant resistance, a bunch of stat boosts. It is an all-around excellent pickup for that Kayn or that Yang.
And Sirens for sale in Dwarf Castle.
Well, that solves our grind issues.
Yeah, and everything must go at this point. If you're LUF, do you do a mini grind or grind yourself almost up to Z levels at this point? This is a part that you could take to Z.
Yeah, it's always a question whether or not you want to go and start doing your full grind before you finish sussing out the key items you want. Like you said, this is a party that you can definitely take all the way up to Z.
And cat claws for sale in Dwarf Castle, which are also nice. Young's best weapon, although Young's best weapon is really levels.
Indeed.
And Dodo, meanwhile, gets through Antlion, falls prey to the pitfall, but don't we all? And those are dark imps at the top of the tower. So.
Oh, that's nice info.
It really is.
Decides to, unfortunately, bypass that Zeus gauntlet. I don't blame ndoto for not grabbing that chest. It is a little bit out of the way.
Yeah,
it is like unfortunate that it is something good.
Yes. Meanwhile, LUF goes to Dwarf Castle, has an Odin in the dull spot, and I don't know if he held on to a Thunderclaw, but this would be a really good place to put it on Yang.
Indeed, and it looks like ndoto is giving us our Tomra check, and we'll see whether or not he is everyone's favorite, a runner of the people.
No!
Aw, betrayal!
Doto's job is a troll. LUF decided to reset when the Lit 2 with Odin's sword raise only did about 3,600 damage.
Yeah.
Little unfortunate there, but looks like it's gonna refit and take another crack at it.
Mm-hmm. And that first spot is a little annoying because it does take all of the HP from all of the dolls and kind of smush it into that one Odin.
And not only the Cals and the Brainas, but the Calbraina.
We got your Cal doll, we got your Braina dolls. We got your combination Cal and Braina dolls.
See, I thought you were going to go for a Chumbawamba reference there.
I mean, I gotta mix it up a little bit. Ooh, Bacchus wine for sale in Tamra. Bacchus wine, of course, being a item that allows its user to become berserk, which sounds bad, but is actually quite useful.
And Doto must have heard us because he went back in just to buy Bacchus wines and validate the run. The job dwarf is an architecture professor.
Which, you know, I'm glad our job dwarf has made his way into academia.
Yes, and architecture professors are the only professors you're ever going to find in a romantic comedy.
Fair. Looks like at the Golbez spot we have nothing but orb.
CPU is coming to kill as directive.
Looks like ndoto is running straight headlong into that Odin.
Yeah, and that's the dwarf castle play has been a pretty common one in this tournament because in the group flags at least the warp flag is on, which means after completing this objective, you can in the throne room you can warp and go back into the crystal room. Except it's not the same crystal room due to programming shenanigans that it takes you back to the crystal room in the sealed cave. So you get 2 key items for the price of 1, basically.
That's a nice 4,000 damage coming out of that Leviathan from Rydia.
And then Doto is through Odin with no problem.
Indeed.
LUF vanquishes the orbs.
And it looks like ndoto has yet another character learn warp.
Luca has a different key around her neck. Luca has the Baron key. And that's a little spicy.
Interesting.
LUF gets another Zeus gauntlet. LUF is going to be fully decked out.
So, ndoto is a little less punished for not grabbing the one earlier because he's only got the one melee fighter.
That's true. What do you think would happen if Tella actually put a Zeus gauntlet on? I think he'd just like stick to the floor.
It's like Thor's hammer, except
yeah.
Ooh, ndoto going for the risky hope of what? No Globe 199.
He's
Gets
got a
it,
Leviathan, he's fine.
but definitely more confident in that play than I ever would have been.
Certainly. And Dodo's playing fearlessly. I like it.
Yeah, I'm getting the feeling that he is fairly comfortable. Both of our runners seem fairly comfortable with their parties at this point.
Mhm.
I can't imagine either of them being super inclined to switch characters no matter really what they find, unless they want to swap out either of their tellas for a better agility anchor.
Yeah, I think you're right, Likey. I can't really see a character that either of these runners would drop at this point in favor of another one. They don't have any edge weapons, for example, even if they wanted to. I think Dodo's sold his muscle and stuff. Yeah, I think they're happy with their parties and are just looking. We're almost an hour in. No objectives yet.
That said, both of them are sitting with one objective in their back pocket.
That's true. No, both have the pass and have had the pass since the very beginning of the game, and neither have gone to open it.
Which I don't blame them for doing that necessarily. The only reason to open up the pass door early, if you're not like going to the moon to do, the Cave Bahamut and then go down, is if you really want the crystal as the extra key item to push you over the edge. And since neither of our runners are anywhere near the crystal being the difference maker, I can totally see them just being like, yeah, I've got that. I'll worry about that when I get to it.
LUF does get another key item, though. Gets the pink tail at the top of the tower after stoning the Dark Imps. Using that Tella in the middle to really buff up Tella's magic aiming stats and gets a stone on the Dark Imp's first try.
Yeah, sadly, the pigtail is not progression, and it's not what it normally gives either, because, let's face it, adamant armor a little OP.
I mean, yeah, you're right.
Interesting that neither of our runners have gone to check the free chest down in Feymarch.
Very true. But the confidence we were talking about earlier, the confidence seems to be bleeding over into basically believing that these are two free checks, which they almost are. Dark Imps at the top, and the Super Cannon has just the Kaipo guards, which LUF dispatches with ease.
Indeed. And, both of our runners do have fairly powerful parties. Both of them are clearly piloting both of these masterfully, as we can just see how they're slicing through this part of the game with ease.
Yes. And we'll see what LUF comes up with at the bottom of the tower, but I can't imagine there'd be much of anything here that wouldn't push LUF into the Feymarch to check that key item as well.
Yeah, the only thing I could think of that might change that play would be a Darkness Crystal, but even then, you still want to grab that free item just in case it's like the Legend Sword. Because at this point, if I'm one of these runners, what I'm thinking is, okay, I either want to get the Darkness Crystal and go up, clear Cave Bahamut, and then just go straight down, or I want to completely fade the moon. Ooh, another Avenger for LUF's troubles.
But LUF does decide to head straight down into the Fey March. We'll not looting at this point. Probably already has enough stuff. Maybe we'll be searching. What haven't we found in shops yet? Tier 3s? Have those been available?
Unclear, but between Rosa and Tella, you have all of the healing you'll ever need.
Yeah.
Finds a package, which is interesting, and in a very marginal circumstance, could potentially be required if D-Mist had exactly what you need.
Yeah, which isn't likely, but it's possible. And of course, it's what we're all rooting for.
D-Mist, D-Mist, D-Mist.
I mean, they say you should be objective up here in the booth, but, you know, everybody has their biases.
Look, I'm objective between our two runners. They are both doing incredible, and what I'm rooting for is the seed.
Feymarsh just has more coffins for sale. I say more, the only coffins we found so far are in chests, so Luke picks up a couple of those. You know, you gotta do something with your money. You can't take it with you.
Indeed, and being able to bootstrap a grind, or if you find, say, the Baron Guards somewhere, being able to cheese them.
Well worth an inventory spot.
Indeed.
Well, now that Ndoto's going back down the tower, Luf is going to check out the bosses, and there's a D-Mist.
Oh, hey! So that package is not required.
Yeah. The dolls are very doable at this spot.
Yeah, the Leviathan spot has, what, 25,000 HP?
Something like that.
And then if you divide that 6 ways, accounting for the fact that, you know, the different dolls have different amounts of HP. Yeah, I like both of our runners' odds here, especially ndoto with that Leviathan.
Yes, that Leviathan would probably wipe out the dolls in front, and maybe even wipe out all the dolls in the back as well, or at least leave them with very low health.
And then a decent Quake from Palom would probably one Leviathan and one Quake probably should be enough to clear the spot out nicely, assuming both of them live long enough to get them off.
It's also worth mentioning that the dolls in the back are susceptible to status ailments, including stop. So, if Luke wanted to make doubly sure of this fight, that's an option available to him.
Yeah, stopping that last one could have been useful. Threw 2 coffins to get rid of the first 2 dolls in the back, which was definitely a really nice heads-up play and use of the coffins as we were talking about.
Mm-hmm. And uses the coffin to get rid of the third, so a very nice, clean fight from Luke.
Indeed. Even has the anchored Tella dead on the floor.
You can't do it any better, and that's a Legend Sword. So,
wow!
One item from Go Mode at this point.
Yeah, just needs either a Sand Ruby or a Darkness Crystal. And of course, that Darkness Crystal, because you need it to get to the moon, can't be on the moon.
Right. So Luf has a decision to make here. D-Mist at Ashura could be a little annoying. D-Mist fades in and out, but LUF has got to be pretty confident in his ability to handle D-Mist at this spot.
Yeah, D-Mist can be annoying, especially if you try to anchor to, especially with the fading. But on the other hand, when D-Mist is faded out, it's not doing anything unless you attack it. So that does give you opportunities to set up blinks and revive characters who got knocked down, because D-Mist only physically attacks and only hits 3 times. So if you come in with a full complement of characters, you're going to have at least 2 people alive every time D-Mist fades out.
LUF only starting with 4 characters, but the Kane tanks a hit, so should be in decent shape. And meanwhile, ndoto goes for D-Mist before the dolls.
Yeah, I actually really like that play because when you're looking at the spots, you're like, well, if I fight the D-Mist, that's 2 key items. If I fight the dolls, that's only 1. Granted, we know that the dolls have a legendary sword, so pros and cons.
How legendary is it?
Depends. Have you reforged it with the adamant rock?
Not yet, but if I were a runner here, I would be intending to very soon.
Indeed. Sadly, neither of our runners kept the Cecil, which the X-Cal is Cecil's second best weapon. Oof.
Yeah, both runners taking it slow, but getting blinks up. Kane goes down on ndoto's side, but should be able to patch things together while Threemus is in this form.
Yeah, it looks like ndoto is taking the time to have Palom use his bluff ability a couple of times, which over the course of the battle will help raise the power of his black magic casts, meaning that when those spells connect, they will be painful.
Yeah, very heads-up play, and now that blinks are on everybody, it's all hands on deck to deal as much direct damage to D-Mist as you can.
Indeed. Yeah, gets a Leviathan cast in there, and it looks like LUF is going for very similar strategies. Both of our runners are taking this nice and slow. This fight is going to be a slog no matter what, because D-Mist does 3 attacks and then turns to Mist for I'm not sure how many actions or what the exact timing there for things staying Mist is.
Yeah, and Ashura is a fast enough spot. It's one of the fastest spots on the blue planet, I believe. It's a fast enough spot that your timing can get really wonky really fast if you try and do too much at one time.
Mm-hmm. And depending on what we get here, this particular fight could change a lot of things. Because if ndoto gets something reasonable or decides, nah, I don't want to do the dolls, I'm going straight to check the Rydia's mom location, which is what D-Mist unlocks, he might completely forego this legend sword in the sake of gambling on what else is found. Looks like LUF is through, gets a spoon for his trouble, and is done with the Fey March.
very well done, and LUF now gets to decide where to go next. But LUF has 2 pieces of the objectives to go, and just needs 1 more key item.
Indeed, and at the moment is sitting on 8 key items. So if he finds his last piece of go mode, if he does the various objectives, he can have those 10 key items before he sits down and starts grinding.
Which is very clutch because at 10 key items, the amount of experience you get from defeating any encounters doubles. So it makes your grind twice as fast.
Indeed.
I'm sorry I did math on stream.
Looks like ndoto takes out Threemus as well. Hot on LUF's heels.
And LUF decides to go straight above ground. Hopefully doesn't forget that that he has both the Adamant and Legend Sword. And will return it underground at some point to forge that and get that objective done.
Yeah, I personally would have done the forge while I was down there, but I imagine if you're LUF, you also had checking the sylphs on your mind. You don't want to forget Rydia's mom. There's a lot of cognitive load right there, so you might put off doing the objective until you've done all of the other checks. And Rydia's mom has the twin harp.
Thanks for the memes, Mom. Appreciate it. And Dodo, meanwhile, is staying in the Feymarch, gonna take care of these Calbraina dolls. Shouldn't have much of an issue with this.
Indeed. And so now, assuming Sheila 1 isn't anything, but Sheila always has the goods, so that's a fairly strong assumption. Yeah. If this isn't, the exact progression we need right now, we have Twin Harp and we have Baron Castle to check.
But that is a darkness.
But nope, Sheila has darkness.
Wow. LUF is in go mode. Without having any objectives lit up, which takes some doing.
Yeah, that said, that go mode is through the Cave Bahamut spot. And if ndoto decides to fade Fabul and finds, say, Sand Ruby at the Baron Throne, not the underground throne, but the above ground one, this could get really interesting really quickly.
It could. It could, and LUF, whose brain isn't Swiss cheese like mine, goes right to Coco's shop and is going to forge that Excalibur and mark off that first objective.
So at an hour 15, our first runner lights up their first objective, and it just happens to be the forge.
Yes. And our tracker, Bacon Pie, finally has a round shiny button to hit.
We also get to see what's at the Cacol shop. Hey, do you like Zeus gauntlets? The power shirt is very nice. It's plus 15 strength, which is very nice for your physical fighters. The life staff is definitely one of the best pieces of weaponry that a white mage can equip. And Artemis arrows are the best are the best arrows for your bows.
Certainly. Doesn't look like that's at the top of LUF's agenda, however. Nobody's wearing arrows and doesn't want to make his Palom a bow and arrow murder child.
Indeed. And with the sort of setup, I imagine LUF's going to be going for double Berserk strats with the Cane and the Yang.
grind Palom up to nuke and make him reflect.
Yeah. Opening the pass door now, which does signal to me that he's going to go up and clear Cave Bahamut and then just
walk.
Yeah.
It's not clear to me that going to Cave Bahamut and then coming back down to the blue planet and using the pass is slower than leaving Cave Bahamut and then going to the lunar subterranean.
Well, doing the count with the pickup from Sheila and Threemus, LUF does have the 10 key items now. So, yeah, the whole calculus about, like, opening the door so you get the crystal so you get the 10 key items is kind of moot at this point. It looks like ndoto has forgone talking to the sylphs yet. So this could start getting interesting.
Ooh. And goes straight to Baron.
Yeah. We'll have to see how this pays out. As he lifts up and goes straight up to Mist to talk to Rydia's mom.
Yeah. But I think that Baron Key's on his mind, and once he gets this Twin Harp, I think he'll go right back to Baron. I don't know if he forgot about the Sylphs or if he's taking a risk that a pan will be available at some point to make that more efficient. But we know that Sheila 1's got the goods this time.
Yeah, and it is one of those bits of hard calculus of, do I go talk to the Sylphs early and potentially have to double dip, or do I hold off for the pan and hope that Sheila 1 doesn't have anything good? Or...
Yeah, it's just one of those decisions you have to make that just makes this randomizer so much fun.
Yeah.
You can be as exact and as efficient as you want, but sometimes the efficient play isn't the right play.
Yeah. Sometimes the gamble pays off. Not all the time.
And Cave Bahamut has elements. So, reflect strats are in play here if there's enough wallcasters and or Starveils hanging around.
Indeed. And does Palom have Cure 3 yet? I mean, Fire 3 yet? Not... Palom doesn't get Cure?
I thought I saw Fire 3, but I could be mistaken.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But he's going to grind up first.
Which I don't hate. Knowing that the King Ryus are here with the 10 key item boost, with hourglasses in hand, this should be a fairly reasonable grind.
Yes, and there's no reason to sweat it out if you don't have to. This is a one-stop shop. I like this grind. Doing it right now instead of waiting until after you potentially run into trouble against elements.
Indeed. And with Kane, I think holding... I miss what spear Kane is currently holding, but that is, 8 to 9,000, nearly hitting the damage cap.
I believe that's a Dragoon Spear.
Yeah. I was gonna say, whatever it is, it's definitely hitting those dragons for a bunch.
Yeah, it's getting the job done. Meanwhile, ndoto through the waterway and refines the Leviathan, who helpfully gave us the pass at the beginning of the game.
And we'll see which summon Rydia has decided to use against Leviathan. Looks like it's just Lit 2, not a summon.
Wow, that's not as poetic.
Indeed, but two Lit 2s should take care of this Leviathan fairly quickly.
And he's through.
Indeed. I really, really hope that the Sand Ruby is here.
That would make things super, super interesting. Baron guards have taken over the Baron throne. If you got those mute bells, if you got those hourglasses, now's the time. Or just Leviathan.
Yeah. At this point, with your levels and abilities, you'll notice them hitting for single digits on basically everyone.
Yeah, and you've got enough cabins that even if they survive the piggy and small, nothing more than a nuisance.
But yeah. Leviathan washes away the Baron guards.
Hopefully they will be cleansed of their sins.
Looks like this seed is Oops Altella.
And ndoto makes the trade.
Which I don't hate. Trading down Atella for an unleveled one so that your agility is in a better spot makes a lot of sense to me.
Maybe the seeds just really. I think there have been. 5 Tellas in this seed, popping up at some point. So, and that's an Earth crystal, and ndoto's in a little bit of trouble here.
Yeah, that is the Party Rock, which does give access to the Troya Treasury, which can be pretty hype, but is also a rabbit hole that ndoto could run down as opposed to just going for that Darkness Crystal, which we know is out there.
Yeah. LUF, meanwhile, has reset or has exited out of Cape Bahamut, cabined up, and is going to take on these elements.
Looks like we have Bahamut down on the basement throne today.
Trading one throne for another. Kings supporting kings, 2020. Gets off the walls in plenty of time, and with that Dragoon Spear, Kane should be this should be well in hand.
Indeed. Plus the support from the Black Mages, throwing out viruses, a Leviathan summon.
And LUF takes care of elements and has completed 3 objectives. Just a power shirt for ndoto, and ndoto has a decision to make here. Resets out.
Oof. Yeah. That green rock is scary because I know that when I look at that and that twin harp, I'm like, oh, that's 3 key items.
Yes.
Chooses to go back underground.
Ndoto's spidey sense must be tingling.
Yeah, luckily for ndoto, this is the correct play. Or a correct play. For all we know, Twin Harp could have Sand Ruby, or the Earth Crystal could.
Right. And if Twin Harp has Sand Ruby, then ndoto could get the fan service of playing the song, and, that could propel into victory all by itself.
Yeah, and that would, if LUF wasn't done with his grind or was struggling on the Bahamut spot, then this race could be a lot closer than it is. But for now, I think there's a question we might want to ask.
Oh, LUF has gone outside of where the pass is. That must mean he's setting up for a final showdown with our least favorite bad guy. So Threemus at the end, he doesn't get put into the regular boss pool. He's too much to put him anywhere else but where he is. But what he does change from, so you can see, is the sprite that he uses to turn into his real form. So the question that we always ask is, whose butt are we going to kick tonight? And it looks like LUF is going to provide us the first look on this particular race.
Indeed. Shout out to Skull Kitty in chat, who has made
over 60, I believe.
Yeah, to be fair, not all of them were her. Some of them were made by Boardface, but Skull has made the lion's share, if you will. Shoutouts to ndoto.
And Scala informing us in chat, she's made 370, which, is close enough.
Yeah, that's over 80%.
Yeah. If you can't tell the facts, tell the legend.
So I should just repeat the name Skull Kitty over and over again, because let's face it, Skull Kitty is a legend.
Very much so, and LUF is in the Z fight, and we're gonna find out who this Z sprite is. And Leggy, I hope it's somebody you recognize, because I hardly recognize any of these.
I'll do my best, but luckily, if I don't, we have Skull here to help us.
True. That's a big sword.
Indeed. It is Shadow Miss? I got nothing.
No. And
it's Shadow Lord from Final Fantasy XI.
Our restreamer Asuka pointing out that it does look cool. That's entirely the point. Doesn't have to be recognizable. It looks really.
Indeed. Looks like LUF is setting up the berserks on the melee fighters. The boys are getting angry and going to town.
And at least for the first turn, doing double reflect, nukes from Palom and white from Rosa.
And the Big Bang comes out, so I imagine Rosa's going to transition from doing whites to doing Cure 4s.
But as long as they can hold out before the next Big Bang comes out, Rosa should have enough time to cast this white and then to transition to full-time healer mode.
Indeed. Really good heads up putting the wall on Palom, who, with the nerfed Big Bang from the first round, was fairly likely to survive. Won't survive the second Big Bang that comes out unless it gets nerfed. But using that magic to augment the damage from the Berserkers.
Yes, and that second nuke, 9,700 from Palom. Just casual.
Yeah, and with 3k from the melee fighters each swing, this fight is going fairly well.
Yeah, gets tier 3s up on everybody, so everybody looks to have enough health to survive a unnerfed Big Bang at this point. Really smooth so far from Luke.
Yeah, and with the Berserk fighters in the agility queue, Zeromus's turn is delayed because you don't have the input lag of picking the attack command, which does mean that the actual human error from menuing is a little more forgiving, which probably is going to let Halib get off an extra few nukes. Sadly, here comes that Big Bang. Yeah, unfortunately that takes out the Palom, but at this... Oh! That does it.
And that is time. LUF is through. Zeromus,
with an official time of 1 hour, 32 minutes, and 19 seconds.
GG to LUF. LUF moves to 1-0 in the Hook group. A very well played and smooth race.
Speaking of, hello. How are you feeling after that one?
Hello. Oh boy. It does. I can relax now. I can certainly relax. Oh boy, I was feeling so stressed about this run. The first group stage didn't go very well for me, and I ended up being only 1-2. Kind of disappointed there. So today's games was actually very important to me. Did a lot of preparation, and I'm very happy to have found a seed exactly like I love them. Particularly seeing Ant Lion in the Hook as the Hook boss. It's something I'm very ready for. I used to do a lot of Kitty-like seeds. Often met them right at the spot I knew what to do. There was no hesitation in my mind. I could simply, okay, this is perfect for me. I know exactly where I'm heading. So yeah, as soon as I saw Ant Lion in an Headland Cave, I was okay, now I can relax a little. I know pretty much where I'm at, and it feels great. It feels very great to be able to see that, hey, all the preparation actually end up being worth it.
Yeah, it was a very smooth race on your end. Before you got to that Antlion, as you were going through the overworld, what were you hoping for? What were you looking for at that point?
Well, even at the start of the run, I kind of prefer Hook roads instead of Magma roads. I like challenges, so I was really vouching for getting that, so I was quite happy there. It did start off on the wrong foot though. That reset right at Mount Ordeals at the beginning of the game. It was against Rubicante. That was, oh boy, I messed that setup so much. I was like, oh, I did not feel like in a good position, especially I did check ndoto streams, obviously to prepare myself what kind of player he is and all, and oh yeah, the guy's good. The guy's actually very good. So I was what I feel like I messed up big by missing that. Looks like I actually managed to catch up after that. I don't know how good his run was, but yeah, I was very feeling stressed right at the start. I did some mistakes. I was really hoping for a hook road. Glad I got it. Glad I got a fight actually I'm used to. Thanks to Asuka for making such a good seed. And yeah, that was pretty much it. I had already a good plan. Already had a good idea of exactly what I should do. I did a lot of practice these past months, so I kind of knew what to do. I was just trying to figure out, hey, how can I repair my mistakes?
Yeah, in general, both you and ndoto kind of took a very similar path through the seed. You did the overworld slightly differently, but once you got underground, you both kind of traced the same path. Though ndoto did take a little extra time to open some extra boxes, did Castle Eblin. How did you feel in terms of your comfort level, power-wise, going into a lot of the fights?
The only place I was quite not sure if I would be able to do the fights would be the Monster Cave. Basically, what was there again? It was one of the fights where was actually easy. The first one I did again, Miss Dragon, because you have a lot of time to. The second one, I mean, you have a lot of time to do blinks and all. But I want to give a try to what was that? The king again?
Dolls that came.
Yeah, the dancing dolls.
Oh yeah, the disc. Oh, never mind. I looked at it and asked, oh yeah, I just got some coffins. I'm totally fine with this. I was actually comfortable right there. So it was only making sure that I could put up blinks fast enough for Miss Dragon and see whatever there was. But yeah, I'm actually used to be under level. Like I said, I do a lot of Light runs. So being under level is pretty much a standard there. So yeah, I was feeling very comfortable. Once I was on the underworld, I was like, okay, yeah. I feel like I've got this. I know where I'm heading. The only place I wasn't quite sure after that what would happen was in Pirate Cave. Basically, I haven't ever done once the elements that setup. I totally forgot. Oh yeah, there's not a lot of magic power. I'm safe. So when I finished actually living up, I was maybe I should save. I'm not quite sure of that fight, and it ended up being so easy. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
When you got that darkness crystal from Sheila, did you immediately set your mind to go to the moon, to the Bahamut Cave, whoever was up there you were going to beat, or did you think about maybe fishing for a sand ruby somewhere?
I don't like fishing for items. That's something that, okay, maybe if I actually have a very quick, easy check, I'm going to do it. But usually, if I'm missing one item, like you just said, the sand ruby, I'm like, and at the same time, I mean, I actually had to do some levels. I wanted to use Palom nukes for the Z fight. I felt like, oh yeah, let's just go there, do some levels, do the check of the boss, save, and do whatever is going to be there. So yeah, when I saw the darkness crystal, I was pretty much okay. Yeah, I'm going to do all the checks I need to do and go. It was go time.
Well, you certainly impressed all of us with your calm style of running, your confident style of running, and you had a very smooth race. So GG for that. Leggy, do you have any more questions for Luke?
Not right now. Once again, GG's, and best of luck in your upcoming matches.
Well, thanks a lot. And Thanks a lot for all the hard work you put into restreaming all the commentary and all. It's very appreciated.
Sure, you're 1-0 now. You have a big leg up in the hook route, and so we'll be watching to see who you draw next.
Well, I sure will be watching too. Thanks again.
Thank you, Luke.
And so while we were talking with LUF, it looks like ndoto cleared Cave Bahamut and has also been grinding the gold dragons. Probably going to go down very shortly to open up that pass door. So I am going to be a little bit quiet because we got music.
I don't know if Final Fantasy II has the best Final Fantasy music, but I think it's in the running for having the best harp music.
It definitely translates super well over to that harp. But also, I feel like there's the obligatory, wait, isn't this Final Fantasy II?
Yeah, 6-year-old me would be super confused right now.
But yeah, looks like the King Ryu grind is going very well for ndoto. Probably going to see fairly similar strats, though I imagine with the extra Rydia, we're going to see a few more nukes flying around up against the Z fight.
Yeah, and ndoto, has run a really good race. Got lured into Baron Castle a little bit, which set him behind. But ndoto absolutely has nothing to be ashamed of from the way he's run today.
Yeah, he definitely played it a little safer than LUF, which, there are pros and cons to that. If something had been super nasty that LUF had needed to bang his head against, that ndoto could have skated by with the little extra looting and the little extra prep that he had done, then this could have easily gone the other way. But this seed definitely favored LUF kind of just barge in, do things. You have the power to get through whatever you're up against style of play. And having checked the spoiler log at this point, there was no hope for finding a cheeky sand ruby on the blue planet because Cave Bahamut gave out the pan, and Sheila 2 is holding that sand ruby.
Wow. So one of those seeds where one objective is completely gated behind another objective. You'll love to see it.
Indeed. Which, if either of our runners had managed to miss getting the 4, would have been super exciting to see.
It would have been. So the moon isn't haunted, but the lunar subterranean certainly is.
Moon's not haunted, but only in the spots where it's required.
Still can't believe ndoto didn't name a character after Zazu. Zazdu's the best.
I mean, when you only have 12 characters to put in names for, you have to make sacrifices somewhere. And sometimes that's picking from names that have exactly 12 people there, like I did once.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes it's you have to make those hard choices about which characters to leave on the cutting room floor.
I suppose you do. Zazdu really comes into his own in the Lion King musical, if you ask me. In the movie, he's more annoying.
Indeed. Ndoto showing no fear going in, knowing that he'll get the free heal from the opening the Threemus fight, which I was 2 races into this tournament when I learned that happened. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, I've certainly done the unnecessary cabin outside outside the Z fight.
Indeed. And we're about to get our second round with Darkness Miss, I think was the name?
Shadow Miss.
Shadow Miss, yes. And we'll see whether or not it's mealtime.
Yes. How many edges did that Shadow Miss's sword have anyway? It was...
Well, enough that none appeared anywhere else in the seed.
Yeah. Edge was CERN not appearing in this seed.
Yeah. Tonight's Z Sprite is the raw, concentrated power of edginess. And here we go.
Do these fights ever get less scary for you, Leggy? They don't for me.
No. If I am anything close to underleveled, the Z fight is always terrifying.
Yeah, and I call anything close to underleveled anything under 99.
Right? But with the HP values we're seeing on Nindoto's side, it looks like most of the party should be able to survive an unnerfed Big Bang. It'll be a little sketchy on the Palom. But Rosa and Kane should be able to survive. And at the end of the day, those are going to be your important two for the long term of this fight.
A little bit unfortunate that Palom is the target of that nuke, but should be able to patch that up.
Indeed. Unfortunately, Big Bang's going to come out before any kind of healing can, but shouldn't be too hard to pick that back up, especially...
That's a low roll.
Yeah, especially when Threemus decides to take a break. Go easy on the kid.
It's the bunny slope Z.
Yeah, and Ndoto might actually be going for, like, full reflect strats?
Yeah, Kane is tossing potions around like some kind of apothecary.
Yeah, which is definitely a viable strategy for a number of reasons. One, by doing this, you only have to get through about half of Zeromus's HP because based off the way the game is programmed and the limitations of integer values in the assembly code for the SNES, Threemus only has about 60,000 HP to start, and if you can get through that by doing reflects, he won't trigger his HP refill, which is a counterattack, which reflected spells do not trigger.
Right, and he has Kane on full-time nerfing duty, it looks like. Gonna toss another Silk Web out there. Of course, if Z gets attacked directly with a magic spell, which the Silk Web counts as, counterattacks with a nuke, and if you do it in time, it reduces the power of the Big Bang. I don't think you got this one off the time, though.
Maybe. The timing is
Oh, he did.
both and less generous than you'd expect, which throws me every single time.
Yeah, it's magic to me. Sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic, and that's a flash. And Dodo has finished. GG with a time of waiting for the official time to run up here. 1:52:03. GG to Ndoto.
GG. And we should be able to get him in here very shortly for an interview. And by very shortly, I mean now. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
So, coming through that seed, how are you feeling?
I wish I would have won, but I'm relatively happy with how I did.
Yeah, you and LUF both had very solid play. You both did fairly similar routing, though you took the Rydia where LUF took a Yang.
Gotcha.
And you took a little extra time to do some extra looting,
Mm-hmm.
and unfortunately got bit by the Troll Baron Castle play.
Yep, I sure did. When I went to Feymarch and originally saw the demist there, I was so convinced that that was going to be the play, and I was so focused on demist. I hesitated when I thought about going to check Sheila 1. When I went to go check Yang, instead of going up to check what the demist item was instead. And I think it would have gone very differently had I not gone topside quite so quickly.
Yeah, but outside of that, because, with randomizers, they're going to rando. That could have easily have been, the play that won you the match in a slightly different seed.
Yeah.
So
You had...
Go
Sorry.
ahead, Leggy.
Yeah. You played this incredibly well, and it was just a pleasure to watch.
Oh, thank you so much. It was a really fun seed to run.
When you saw that antlion hanging out at the hook route, what were your thoughts going into that?
I knew I needed to prepare, but I think I may have over-prepared a little bit. With the Leviathan that I had on Rydia, I don't think that I needed to spend quite as much time trap chest grinding like I did. But I was happy that I was able to at least get through Antline in one. That was really my main goal.
Yeah, on the other side of the coin, the extra bit of trap chest grinding you did meant that both of you were on the Antlion fight at about the same time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was a very it was neck and neck going into the underground, and
Oh, wow, that's very cool. Yeah, LUF is a great player.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would.
What struck me most in Dodo was your confidence. Were you feeling confident throughout that entire seed?
For the most part, I was. Aside from I think taking a little too much time over preparing for Antlion, and then, like I said, demist and going Baron before bothering to check Sheila 1. I think those were my big misplays, but other than that, I'm really happy with how I did.
Yeah. Anyway, I would highly recommend giving this a watch back when you get the chance.
Oh, I definitely will.
Yeah. Any final thoughts before we start wrapping up here?
This was a great match. I was really looking forward to racing LUF. I guess I'm going to have to win both my next 2 matches if I want to make it out of the hook group, so...
Yeah, you have an uphill climb ahead of you, but we saw tonight you certainly have the skills to make it there. So, GG again, and well done.
Thank you so much. Thank you guys for commentating.
All right, Leggy. Well, that was a lot of fun here on the Quattro.
Indeed, but unfortunately, our time here is rapidly coming to an end. But that doesn't mean we're not letting the fun continue. Do we have a place to send all these fine people on over to?
We're going to Randomania 2, I'm getting word.
Ah, which, is half the fun of the Quattro.
The dose. The quarter ocho. So with that, I guess we'll send everybody over to Randomania 2. Enjoy that race over there. I'm sure it's a cracker. And Leggy, it's been a pleasure commentating with you. Oscar, our restreamer, Bacon Pie, our tracker. Thank you, everybody, so much. Give all of those a follow.
Indeed, and don't forget to both follow both of our runners tonight, and also be mindful of spoiling this race as we move on. Other people watching that might want to watch this back later,
and they should, because it was a really fun one.
Indeed.
All right, we'll head on over to Randomania 2. Until then, so long.